Greg Eden was the top try scorer with 34. We all know that. 102 players didn't score a try that played this year, with Manu, that must be Sika Manu, Willie Isa and Seb Ikehefo playing the most games without scoring a try. 22 games they all played.
Wow.
7 players went at a try a game or better. There was young Worthington at Wigan, scored 2 tries in his one game. More impressively, Greg Eden, 34 out of 20 from 22 games. Jake Mamo scored 12 in his 9 games for the Giants. I think he needs to be on our ballot for fullback of the year, even though he only played 9 games. He was that influential in the spell.
Definitely.
Turned the year around. Pat Arvan scored 6 from his 5 games. Liam Marshall 20 from his 18 games. And Joe Burgess went at 16 from 16 despite being forced into the centre quite a few times. And young Gill.
Kieran Gill?
Yeah, from the Castleford Tigers with 1 try from his 1 appearance. George Williams was topping try assists with 26. 144 players, though, Tom, didn't make an assist. 4 players played in every game without assists. That was Matty Dawson, Jack Hughes, Shannon Wakeman and Frank Paul Nuasala. 9 players, though, contributed to a try assist per game or better. Jordan Turner with 3 tries assists from his 2 games. George Williams got 26 in 22. Michael Shenton went at 1 a game, 19 from 19. Tom Gilmore at Widnes, 8 assists in 8 games, despite a lot of criticism that came his way. And then a few lower repairs. Young Liam Walsh at Widnes, 1 from 1. Jake Spedding at Saints, 1 from 1. Owen Farnworth, I think it is, at Widnes, 1 from 1. Max Jowett, 2 from 2. And Ed Chamberlain, also one of the Widnes youngsters, 3 from 3. So something to build on.
Green shoots for Widnes in their youth.
When you combine the 2 try assist figures together, it was Greg Eden the most with 40. 74 players, Tom, of the 350 or 349 who saw playing time, didn't score or set up a try in the regular season. Talima Taltai managed to play the most games without doing either. That was 21 games for him in the regular season.
Yeah,
that's some
and he's had a good year for you as well.
He has been. It's probably
better this year than he was last.
Probably so. He had another 100-metre plus game at the weekend too. 37 players averaged a try or try assist per game. So obviously we've talked about quite a few of those already. Notable additions to mention to add on to that would be Oliver Gildart, Albert Kelly and Luke Gale. They all went at 1.4 tries or try assists per game, but didn't actually make the mark in either figure individually. So let's have a look at carries. Alex Walmsley had the most carries, 400, and he made the most metres off those carries, 3,185. Ricky Bailey had the most metres per game, 162 in just his 1 game for the Saints.
That's a good average.
Yeah, well, so I'll talk about some players who played a bit more regularly. Peter Hiku in 4 games managed 161.5 metres per game average. Of regulars, Jerry McGilvery was the best with 156 metres per game in his 20 appearances. Jordan Turner had the best average gain, 12.5 metres per carry, but that was on only 14 carries. Of more regular stars, Darryl Clark maintained a 9.9 metre per carry average gain on 172 carries in 18 appearances. That he sticks around that 10 metres per carry every year that we've been doing this show, Tom, is so explosive. And talking of explosive, Sebek Hehifo had the most busts, 133. He was 30 ahead in tackle busts of his closest rival. His 6 per game average was also the best. Greg Eden had the most breaks with 40. Young Thompson, Lee and Bailey, they had 2 breaks in their 1 game, so they led in breaks per game, but Eden came next with a remarkable 1.8 breaks per game, so that's on playing 22 of the matches. He made a break on 15% of all his carries. That's really impressive. Adam Cuthbertson led the way in offloads with 95. He was a gain as well, like Ikehefo. 30 ahead of his closest rival in that stat, who was Ikehefo. Though John Bateman pipped him for offloads per game with 4.4 in his 5 games, making 1 offload on 26% of his carries. He was able to offload the ball. That's pretty impressive.
It is.
When you look at all 3 of those stat numbers combined, Ikehefo had the most with 202 in total, and the most at 9.2 per game. It's
been a massive season for
impressive,
hasn't it? Yeah, absolutely enormous year.
Yeah. So when we flip onto the defensive side of things, Thomas, Danny Houghton, shocker. Top regular season tackler with 819. That was from only 16 games played. He had the most tackles per game, therefore not surprisingly with 51. But most impressive, it was 9 tackles more than the next best tackles per game.
That's phenomenal, isn't it?
Yeah, and that player had only played like 2 games.
Right, so beating the...
John Wilkin made the most marker tackles, 161. Michael Lawrence and Josh Jordan-Roberts had the most marker tackles per game with 12, but from only 2 and 1 games respectively. Michael Lawrence was the guy who was next best to Danny Houghton in tackles per game, incidentally. 5 players managed 100% tackle success, Tom, although Sam Brooks with 40 made the most tackles in that group, so obviously not much game time for people making no missed tackles, but still well done Sam Brooks, now in the championship. The best regular player for tackle success was Chris Hill again, same as last year really. 98.5% over his 17 games, that was impressive. Mark Minicello, though, less impressive. He missed the most tackles with 64. Liam Walsh, the youngster at Widnes, missed the most tackles per game with 5 missed tackles in his 1 game. But of more regular players, it was Justin Horrow who was probably the worst in this regard. 3.4 missed tackles per game across his 11 matches.
Yeah.
Sorry, were you going to say something in there?
No, I'm listening and taking it all in.
Okay, 15 players, Tom, didn't make a single error in the regular season, leading the way, playing the most games and making the most carries without an error. 7 games and 52 carries was the Shit Chapel House.
The Shit Chapel House. Yeah. Super Ted.
Ted Chapel House. So well done to him. 7 games and 52 carries and not a ball handling error. Mark Percival had the most handling errors, Tom, with 40. Although it was another Saints player with the most per game. Ricky Bailey made 5 in his 1 game, which kind of counteracted that 160 odd metres he made. Albert Kelly was the most error prone in the regular season with 2 per game in his 18 matches of more regular players. Cruz Lehman conceded the most penalties with 28. Thompson and Walsh had 2 in their 1 game, so the worst per game average. That means that they've got that in that and in offload in breaks, so they did well to cancel themselves out. Greg Bird had the most penalty prone regular season though of the regulars with 1.3 per game in his 12 matches.
Nothing to help buck the stereotype.
Well, he is a grub, isn't he?
Yes, he certainly is.
And finally we finish off with kicking. So Danny Brough put the most amount of attacking kicks in, 152, 24 more than his closest rival, and showing that Huddersfield still don't really have a complimentary kicker. Maybe Ridyard can address that balance a bit more in this Super 8. He was joint top though in 40-20s with Luke Gale. Both had 7. Brough had 7 of Huddersfield's league best 9, in fact, the most in a season in the 8s format in the regular season, so that's a really impressive number. Wigan didn't have any in the regular season. They kicked 1 in the Challenge Cup quarter-final, and that was it. Luke Gale kicked the most goals, 107. That's probably not surprising because Cass scored the most tries. But 4 players had a 100% goal-kicking success, Tom, in the regular season.
Right.
Lloyd White, 4 from 4,
yeah,
was the one who had the most work to get to his perfect record. Corey Thompson, 3 from 3. Nick Rawsthorne, 2 from 2. And Ben Westwood, 1 from 1. Regular goal kickers, ones that would deserve a bit more credit for what they performed at. Mark Sneed had the best success rate with a 90% success rate. That's phenomenal. Gale and Percival missed the most kicks at goals, each with 24 misses. Gale
gets a lot of chances to kick.
He had a lot from out wide with Eden diving over. But of the regular kickers, Morgan Esker had the worst success rate with 60%. Luke Gale also kicked the most drop goals this season with 5, thanks mostly to Matty Smith missing off the games, I would suggest.
Yeah, 5 drop goals in a season is still...
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, there you go. That's fascinating.
And those sort of stats around the kicks, the 40-20s, the drop goals, that sort of stuff, combined with his 1.4 tries or assists a game, are kind of numbers that support his odds-on favouracy for the Man of Steel award.
You would say so. Okay, that's the start attack taken care of then. Let's bring you our previews and predictions now for the Super 8s and the qualifiers. Okay, so loads of games we'll have to bring you next week because we've got the qualifiers coming into play as well, so you can expect the rest of the season to be bumper editions of game reviews. We'll start with the Super 8s though, Mark, because on Thursday night, Castleford take on St Helens down at the Jungle. They've all had a couple of weeks off. What do you reckon to this one?
Well, it's Cass at home, so as well as Saints are playing at the moment, they might keep them to under 30 points is about as good as I think they'll get. I just feel like I can't. There's nothing telling me to pick against them at home, really, at this stage. So, and they were having some injury troubles towards the back end of the regular season, but they've had a couple of weeks to get that sorted, haven't they? I'm going to go with Castleford 28-20, but it wouldn't shock me if Saints won, because they've been playing really well. But I just think that Cass are more consistent at not making errors until the game's won, sort of thing.
Yeah, look, if this game had come on the back of a bit of more regular season time and they'd been in a rhythm of playing week in, week out, St Helens' uptick might have carried them on in this one and they could have been in for a win. But I think the Castleford culture at the moment, with the way things are in terms of the proud home record and the way that Darryl Clark is seemingly able to motivate his players, I just can't look beyond them for a result. Everything augurs well for Castleford. I won't say strolling to the semi-finals, but you would be, you wouldn't be surprised if you saw them in the final. Do you know what I mean?
I think they've got a home semi-final mathematically if they win this one.
Pretty much so. So it's a game that they've got motivation to win as well. So 32-18 I've gone for in favour of Cass. Then on Friday evening, Huddersfield take on Wakefield, West Yorkshire derby down at the John Smiths. What do you reckon?
I'll just want to pick for me this week. What I've decided for Huddersfield on is I just think they've got their defence together. I don't think they've conceded more than 20 points, maybe on one occasion, and I think that was in a winning effort too. Yeah. Maybe since they played Wakefield last at the end of May, they've been pretty solid in defence. And Jordan Turner's supposedly going to be back. He was very influential in the 2 games he did play. Rankin slotted in nicely. He's not quite as omnipresent as Maymo in terms of their attack, but he's linking well still, and I just think they've got loads of try threats, some big units in the middle, and I think they're probably just in slightly better form than Wakefield. Well, they are in slightly better form than Wakefield. I think they've won 4 of the last 6 and Wakefield have lost 4 of the last 6 or something like that, but that's what gives the edge for Huddersfield for me. So 20 points to 14, though. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Yeah, we've got a similar scoreline. I've gone 24 points to 16 for a lot of the same reasons. I think these are 2 teams that are kind of going in opposite directions in terms of their positions. Wakefield are kind of falling a little bit now, whereas Huddersfield seem to have, even without influential players like Maymo, found that form. And as you alluded to, they've shored up the defence. Hull FC then at the same time, they're taking on Salford over in Hull. I'm going for a 19 points to 12 victory in favour of Hull FC. Yes, they'll probably be a little bit worn out from the semi-final, but so will Salford. And I think the feedback that we've had so far has kind of borne this out. But Salford's season seems to be not in a nosedive, but I think they're done now. It is in a nosedive. They're falling out of the last 6. Well, that's true. Yeah, they are. They're falling then. Whereas Hull have found that winning mentality, even despite that deep, dark injury crisis, and things are starting to click now. That combination in the halves, I think, looks really dangerous for them. And if their forwards perform anything like the way they did against Leeds, then it could be a cricket score. But I suspect Salford will front up, which is why I'm going for a close one. I don't think it'll be as close as you think it'll be, but I do think it'll be a home win. I've gone 34 points to 20, and maybe I'm just basing it on expecting what happened at the weekend to happen again, and you can't always think like that. Yeah. But Hull got a bit of a shoe in at home last time they played Salford at home as well, didn't they? And maybe they'll want to address that balance so that there's an extra motivating factor. And I don't think they'll be stepping off the gas at this stage. And people have got cup final places to play for. People in the pack who are all going well are all going to be competing for those spaces in the squad. So 34-20, I think, Hull FC. Fair play. Final game of the Super 8 then takes place at 8 o'clock on Friday evening. Leeds Rhinos defeated semi-finalists take on Wigan, the Challenge Cup finalists. What do you reckon? Wigan victory. Shall I talk about why? No, go on. Go on. No, it's all right. Wigan. I'm going 30 points to 18. I think some of our spine players have got their acts together, and I think the only weak area for us right now is probably front row in terms of depth. But with Farrell hopefully returning for this one, it means you can move Isa into the middle and you don't get too much of a drop off in terms of energy and intensity. Yeah, he gives away more penalties than anyone else and that sort of stuff, but he works hard, so let's give him the credit for that. And so I think we'll be alright there with that. So yeah, 30 points to 18. I mean, Gildart's in great form, Williams is in great form, Tompkins is finding form. I think it'll be closer than that. These games tend to, usually, I know there's been some bigger results in the recent past, but these games tend to be pretty close and they tend to be well fought, and I think that rivalry will be a bit of an equaliser. I still think we're going to run out winners, but I think